Hello my friends, Hoi4 here, and welcome back to another Hearts of Iron 4 video. Are you ready to break things yet again? In honor of the group trip that we just launched to go to Greece this next year, which you're more than welcome to join. If you would like to join us, then you can go and find the link down in the description in order to be able to check that out. I figured that we needed to play Greece in a game, and after posting a poll in order to determine what it is that you all wanted to do, the short of it is that the overwhelming majority of you wanted to see Greece rise from the ashes in Hoi4, which I have to say here, Greece has to pretty much rise from the ashes in just about every single time the Paradox has so far. Like literally, it is not until EU5, where Byzantium is still more of a thing in 1337, that we will actually have a semi-reasonable state to start with. But yeah, 1936, Greece, suffering from horrible debt as usual. Like honestly, I don't think there was really a time in Greek history when it wasn't suffering from debt, to be fair. But the big thing that everyone wants to do as Greece is to restore the old borders of Byzantium, to bring back the double-headed eagle, see the rise of glorious purple, and dominate the entire, well, everything that was Rome, to revive it. And you can do this right now. You can actually do this in-game, but if you go and look at any other older videos of Greece to Byzantium playthroughs, you're going to see that the technique that was used back at that time when Greece first got its focus tree is no longer usable. You cannot do things in the same way that you once did, where you could immediately start a war with Turkey and then exploit this little tiny strait right here by constantly launching naval invasions into it, cutting off Turkish troops, destroying them, and then rinsing and repeating said thing, while simultaneously leeching as many guns, planes, and everything else from the Germans and the Italians as you could, because they changed how Lend-Lease would work so that you can't just abuse the system from the very get-go, which is unfortunate. Also, the Turkish Navy seems to have gotten stronger in the latest patch, or at least within the last year, at least since I had played, which means that we had to come up with a whole new thing to do in order to be able to break Turkey. Do you have your peanut oil? Are you ready to roast it? Let's begin. Now, for the purpose of this playthrough, I'm actually not going to be playing on historical AI because I've had a crazy week this week, and I want to see the world burn in just about every way imaginable. So if World War II plays out the way that it kind of already does, so be it. If it doesn't and things get weirder, just ignore it. Rome will rise from the ashes, and if Byzantium can do that as Greece, then pretty much the entire world can do whatever it wants. Starting from the very get-go, Greece is in an absolutely terrible position. It has an authoritarian leader that is trying to take back the country from the limited democracy that it has under its king. It is in horrible amounts of debt. It is controlled by foreign monopolies. It is subservient to the Germans here in this time, and it is horribly politically unstable and a largely agrarian society that is not mechanized, or industrialized, I should say, so you can't really have anything to pay back the debt while the varying different aspects of the country are trying to rip it apart. You know, the perfect recipe to create a superpower. But don't worry, we'll fix things. From the very get-go, we're going to go ahead and put our civilian factories to work to produce a little bit of infrastructure over here to boost this up. We're not going to boost Attica, which you may think, okay, why aren't you boosting this? This is a way more valuable province. And the answer is that that is actually part of our ploy, and we actually want to prioritize the steel that is over on this side. So I will be doing that, and then after building a single military factory within it. Research-wise, we're going to need to get the next level here in guns, and we are going to need to ramp up our production. This is going to be the most crucial aspect of this entire thing because we have a grand total of 7 civilian factories, of which over half are being used for consumer goods because of our massive debt. And production-wise, we have two military factories. That is it. We're going to need a lot more guns. To that end, take our rather sizable army in the beginning, which is, again, a decent size, though it has no equipment and simultaneously not enough manpower in order to fuel said army, and we are going to slap that into one group and pretty much do nothing with that, at least initially. Focus-wise, we have a couple little options here. The goal that we ultimately want to go down is the far left here and bring back Byzantium. Just do all the horrible craziness. But we cannot do this until we can seem to go democratic, have that fail, and then push hard into fascism, which in order to do that, we are going to need to stop the king from interfering in the election. So to that end, what we are going to do is start by devaluing the drachma, which, of course, that's the Greek answer in order to be able to get rid of their debt. Of course, is just make the money be worth less. Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to wait for the election to count down right here to 1 day left, and that is just so that we can then afterwards place the king under house arrest in order to stop any shenanigans from happening, which kept our stability just 5 points higher, which slightly boosted our political power output just for that time. This is why you don't want to click it immediately, because it makes no difference as to what time you actually click it. As a result, the Venizelos win the election. The Greek people filled the streets of Greece today, celebrating the choice of the army to ensure the monarchists could not interfere with the election results. The Venizelists have delivered a powerful mandate to govern, returning from their exile abroad, but they face an uphill battle uniting a very divided country, and a country that has not forgotten the disastrous war the Venizelists pulled the whole country into in 1919. There also remains the question of what the Venizelists will do with the captured Greek monarch. Regardless of what happens, interesting times lay ahead for Greece. Yes, indeed. Now, here is the thing. As soon as the drachma is devalued, the normal thing that we would have done in the previous types of playthroughs is that we would have immediately beelined over here, bring back the exiled Republicans, and then we would have tried to stream through all of this until we get to resurrecting the Megali idea and immediately declare war on Turkey. We cannot do that because we straight up do not have an industry in order to be able to utilize, and because we are not going to get any kind of support from any other powers. We have to do this entirely on our own, meaning Greece actually needs an industry and can't just mooch off other people for goods, which feels like a modern day political statement, to be fair. So next step, utilize our strengths. To be honest, you could go down force farmers into factories, technically speaking, but no, you really want to do utilize our strengths because you want to get to open foreign subsidized factories. You need this because this is the quickest boost that you will be able to get from the very beginning. All you need to do is improve relations with the UK, France, German Reich, and the Soviet Union, get it above 80, and you get 4 free civilian factories and 4 free military factories, which is massive. So, utilize our strengths. Along with that, at the same time, one of the big annoying things that is going to happen is that this guy, Venizelos, like this guy, he is going to die, and he is an amazing leader. It's kind of randomized as to when that happens. There's no set date, but you don't want to run the risk of losing him too quickly. So the big thing that you need to do is make sure that your war support does not drop too far, which does happen when he dies. The war support plus 15% that he provides is huge, and right now we are on, limited conscription. If that drops down to, below 10% or whatever, you're going to have to go on to volunteer only, which we literally cannot do because I'm already out of manpower as it is. So the solution to this is, yeah, technically speaking, later we're going to be working with the monarchists, but right now from the beginning, we can go and crush the monarchists, which, yes, that is going to hurt our stability by quite a lot in the beginning, but it is going to give us a big boost to war support. And besides that, don't worry, you can actually befriend the monarchists later. All right, with foreign subsidized factories done, that means that our industry has gotten a huge boost. We have way more factories to use, and more importantly, we have a lot of military factories to be able to produce some equipment, which we are going to subsequently need to trade for to get some steel. So, with that being done, now we can finally go over here to bring home the exiled Republicans. With our leader, Eleftheros Venizelos, finally back in charge, we can invite our comrades back from the long exile that was forced into them by the monarchist regime. We will need every bit of help if we are to get our country back on track. Following that, of course, we're going to go and compromise with the monarchists because, yeah, this is going to go from them being crushed to them becoming friendly, but, we need this in the first place in order to be able to secure our rightful place. We may not like the king, but our country has been divided over this issue for far too long. Instead of risking yet another civil war, let us bring the monarchists to the table and discuss terms. The time for struggle is over. Once that is done, we finally get some pretty decent advisors to be able to use. The Army Maneuver Genius we are only going to get as long as the Republicans are loyal, and since we're going to go fascist, that's not going to happen, meaning that we're going to want to probably get the Army Defense Expert immediately. That extra 10% defense is going to be rather nice, and immediately after, we will beeline from remembering the Anatolian catastrophe, venerate the ancient Hellenes, Athenian thinkers, Anatolian refugees, and then resurrecting the Megali idea. Or, well, we're not going to go to resurrecting the Megali idea yet necessarily, but we are going to beeline through all of this to get that out of the way. And honestly, you can do these other things, which are going to give you some decent boosts. This one would only apply if you're actually going democracy, but I don't really care about any of this. 5% division defense on core territory is okay, but it's nothing that is really worth spending 35 days on right now. I'd much rather be able to get the war faster, so we're going to beeline through all of this. The Asia Minor campaign was nothing short of disaster. Our people were slaughtered, our prestige ruined, and our political movement crushed, all in the course of 3 years. We cannot let this be our legacy. We must spin this in a way that people will blame the Turks and not us, and maybe then, perhaps we may finally fulfill our dreams of a greater Greece after all of these years. As we are doing all this, since we finally have a semi-decent position here on guns, we can go ahead and start recruiting some units. So we're going to get what, 11 more units of infantry is pretty much all we can do. High priority, make sure there's only one of them. And the reason we're doing this is because our army right now composes of just 13 dudes. We want a full stack of 24 in order to be able to proceed with our plans. Yeah, ignore the fact that I have no manpower. We're going to resolve that later. Negotiations with the EEE. The dastardly Anatolian fascists have been sowing chaos while making themselves unapproachable by the government since the very inception of their malignant movement. However, things appear to be changing. We have been approached with the offer to make the deal of a century, to join our forces with the Anatolian fascists to further our mutual goal of a defeated Turkey. It cannot be denied that many of our administration would make this deal with the devils of our nation simply to get them to cease their anti-government actions, and it also cannot be denied that there are even some serpents among the civil servants that find the EEE's goals agreeable or even laudable. Thankfully, Magnet Aristotle Onassis has presented us with an alternate course of action. Onassis, also being from Anatolia, will form a counter-movement using his name, business acumen, and personal wealth, and use the movement to sap the EE's support base. This course of action by no means guarantee of squashing them. No. We are going to make a coalition. We are going to do this, and this is the point that we want this to fail so that this way the fascists take over the government. With that being done, we can begin to resurrect the Megali idea. We were promised the Megali idea in 1919, but after the subsequent Greco-Turkish War, that dream was almost dashed forever. But as for long, the Turks continue to profane our great lands of old with their presence. We shall continue to covet what is rightfully ours. The Greek people remember this once. They can be made to remember again. 140 days, and you cannot cancel this focus. What happens? Well, you'll see. You're given an option with the Heraclean Convention. You can go and recall the Treaty of Severus and invite all the original signatories, or you can only invite the French and British. In this case, we don't want the UK and France to just get invited. We also want Italy to get invited, so this is the one that you always want to choose. It's at that point RNG as to what actually happens, though I think in most cases, Britain and France refuse, while it is that Italy accepts. Yep, see, there it is. Only Italy attends the Heraclean Convention. Our dejected officials have mulled over the abysmal news that only Italy has indicated an interest in deciding Turkey's fate at the Heraclean Convention, and ultimately decided the only course of action there is to call off the Heraclean Convention entirely. This is not a move decided lightly, as many Venezuela's officials are all too aware that they staked the entirety of the movement's legitimacy upon avenging 1922, and now the situation has evolved to the point where the entire operation is in jeopardy. The Greek people have already grown restless over the lack of news after so much hype was built around the event. The EEE have seized upon the raging fires of discontent with gusto, lambasting our government for weakness and failing to uphold our promises. How will Eleftherios Venizelos steer us out of these murky waters? Yeah, no, it's going to be canceled, and they're going to demand that we step down. Of course, the next step that you may expect here is horror and fear and going and just immediately declaring war on Turkey, but we can't do that yet because we need a little bit more time to recruit our soldiers, so we are going to focus instead on selling all the gold in our country, or I guess Greek gold, which is tobacco, olives, feta, grapes, and figs. Yeah. So the EE launch a coup, we must answer for our failures, the fascists take over, and bam! The man with the mustache. The better mustache, if you will. Following the export luxuries, we can go and expand the tobacco industry, and it's only once this is done that we will finally, at the end of 1937, go and launch horror and fear. I need as much time as possible to generate as many guns as possible. You ready for the chaos? Because it's about to begin. Getting all of these troops out, there are a series of things that we're going to need to do right before war breaks out in order to be able to get ourselves ready. First, we're going to go and promote this Nicholas Plastiras guy, because honestly, he's a really good leader, and I want him to get even stronger in this time. So he's going to be our field marshal. Our primary guy is going to be this guy, Katsimitros, because Mountaineer trait is freaking awesome. Besides that, we are going to go down here, and we are going to take 8 divisions. Slap that over into another force. We are going to put that with another guy. And we are going to launch area defense with guard naval base on only a couple key areas. We are going to guard here. We are going to guard here. And we are going to guard here. That is it. You do not want to guard this central territory with Attica, because that is a whole other thing that we are going to have to do entirely. Beyond that, we take the remaining troops, and we are going to take 5 of them, split them off into another army, which we will put under you. Create a fallback line right here in front of Attica. Take 2 more troops, put that into yet another army, which I don't really care what that is. Honestly, this guy has hill fighter, so that's useful. And we're going to put you here in Chalkis. The remaining troops, well, I mean, 9 honestly seems like a little bit excessive. I can get away with 6. So I'm going to take 3 more of these, and I'm going to throw that into the defensive army, and we're going to take these 6 with the 3 mountaineers that I have, and we're going to slap that right here on the border with Turkey. Go ahead and get ourselves an infantry expert so we can get some additional infantry attack and defense, and we're going to move here to let things kind of play out. I have, what, 26? Yeah, I'm at 26 days. All right, we're going to try and train up these forces at least a little bit. Maybe I can get them closer to being fully trained, or at least regularly trained. Almost forgot, we're going to take our Navy, combine these, we're going to assign them to a random admiral, and then we're just going to move you on over here to another port. And with that, my friends, horror and fear. We are at war, but not only are we at war with Turkey, we are simultaneously at war with Romania. That, however, is not going to be a problem for us, as the big thing that we're going to need to do with our national focus is immediately begin to revive the double-headed eagle. The Venizelos were cowards who refused to let Greece restore its true lost glory, the glory of Byzantium. Why stop with Turkey's coast when we can reclaim all the lost territories of the empire? A new age of glory for Greece has begun. Now, in the old strategy, what it is that you would do is you would take part of your army, and instead of putting them right up here at the border with Turkey, you would instead go down here to Thessaloniki, you would create a little line here, let the Turkish troops go in where they have no supply, and then with your simple, very simple naval superiority, you would just take your ships and launch a little naval invasion right here. That would cut off anywhere between 2 to 5 divisions at the most. Like, honestly, it's usually around 2 or 3, maybe even 4 divisions, usually. And over the course of a month or so, you would wipe those out, reset it, and then do it again. And you do that again and again and again, each time going and requesting guns, requesting resources from other places like Germany and Italy, and you would use that to build your army in order to attack. In this case, we couldn't do that, and we've left Athens sitting wide open. Why? To abuse the Turks, of course. Now, it's going to take a little bit of time. They're naturally going to go and try and launch a couple little naval invasions. They're going to go and take our little islands that we have over here, and that sucks. But, you know, all these little places that are launching these little strikes around the country, we are not wanting to stop them. We want them to land in any place over here that is not a port, because we can simply take our forces and abuse the absolute heck out of them. That is now a full division of Turks that is going to be wiped. First casualties of the war, 346 on our side, 23,000 on theirs. It's going to get worse. The reason we want to leave some forces up here in the north is because we want the Turks to throw their men at our line as much as possible, which not only gets these guys experience, but simultaneously it forces them to use up their equipment that they have. We want the Turks to expend all their military equipment, throwing themselves at the front line, a line that they think that they can break, but they actually will not be able to, and that is something that is going to allow us to really abuse them, because with their remaining divisions, we want to funnel them and destroy them, and they won't have any new equipment to actually recruit new troops. See, here we go, naval invasion. Oh no, Athens has fallen. Whatever are we going to do? Oh no. Well, first off, we're going to destroy this little cavalry division right here, and then with these troops over here in Athens, we are going to launch a little strike, and launch a little strike, and we are going to attack. We're going to wait for that to get really close. We are then going to stop our attack, and we're going to reset it and attack again. Oop, stop ourselves from taking Athens, and we are going to leave this port wide open. We've taken out 67,000 of their forces, and now we've left a little gate open for them to take all their forces and begin to gradually pour them in. You see where this is going? Yoink. Again, yoink. 2 divisions, don't mind if I do. Yoink. Yeah, as it turns out, this system is actually even way more efficient than the previous exploit that we were utilizing. It's a little bit riskier in the sense that you can't do things as quickly as what you did before. Like, you have to wait almost a full year more than what you had to do for the old one, but it's honestly more reliable. It really is. Maybe riskier, but definitely more reliable. Oh no, they're launching an invasion into Thessaloniki, and we revive the double-headed eagle. What does that mean we can do? Well, we can befriend the communists and then simultaneously default on our debt. Because of course. Oh my god, you poured 5 freaking divisions into this. Honestly, it doesn't matter what it is that we do here at this point. Like, we've done pretty much everything. After reviving the double-headed eagle, we can do and get the Foederatoi, which is really nice because it massively boosts our war support. And we also get non-core manpower plus 10%, which is stupidly broken, I will say. Yeah, if you're curious about the kill ratio at this point, it's we've lost 1,000 men versus their 191,000. This is fishing with dynamite. Like that's what this is. Now, eventually, what is going to happen is that things are going to get so bad for the Turks. They're going to lose so many men that what it is that we're going to be able to do is push through and then start surrounding their troops and taking them out. We don't really want to push all the way into Constantinople and then further just yet because they have 4 to 9 divisions, it says. And yeah, I know 2 of those divisions are being taken out here, but literally 2 divisions would be able to hold this strait against my entire army as it is. You can't really do it, so we need to pretty much hold our troops back, bait them in, and then destroy them. We have to think strategically. Yep, the Turks are basically out of forces. I mean, what? We have all these surrounded here at this point. They have 1 to 3 divisions. And here's 2 of them right here. In fact, I don't think they even have a 3rd division. I think these are the last 2, which means that as soon as we take these forces out, the entirety of Turkey is ours. We are literally out of manpower at this point, but it doesn't matter because that, my friends, is the fall of Turkey. Beautiful. So abusive too. Like, here's the thing. We managed to do that, right? Not over the span of a year of constantly repeating that again and again and again. That whole process maybe took about like 6 months. It's actually extremely quick if you can go and just use Athens as bait and then proceed to murder the entirety of the Turkish military. It's that easy. So, with that, we have the National Union of Greece, and the National Union of Greece can very quickly then become Byzantium. Beautiful, beautiful Byzantium. It is that simple. Except, there's one little problem that we have here. Unfortunately for us, we are still at war with Romania, and while yes, we technically could go and launch a naval strike from here and go and invade, yes, but the problem with this is that Romania, by this point, because again, remember, this is like a year later, they have a much larger industry and military than they would have had in the old way we would have done this, which means that their military is actually of substantial size. The only other access point that we can get to them is either through Yugoslavia or Bulgaria, which means either declaring a war or getting them into our faction, which we cannot get Bulgaria into our faction because the world tension is a little bit, it's not high enough. And we also don't have the national spirit to create it. What that means is that focus-wise, as soon as we finish mobilize the economy down here, we are going to need to beeline over to this, get Ninikimen, and then after that, the die is cast, which not only gives us a research slot, but also sets the rule that allows us to create factions. So, in order to make that easier, since the world tension isn't high enough yet, because I'm responsible for the majority of this tension, and simultaneously the world is fairly calm, weirdly enough, like literally nothing else in here is oh, wait, no, France went communist, and Italy is tearing itself apart, so that's something. The Garlists are actually rising, which is pretty decent. But beyond that, there's not really much else that we can do, so let's go ahead and create ourselves an intelligence agency. We have the moderately big industry of Turkey now behind us, which means that we have a huge amount of resources that we otherwise wouldn't before, meaning we can pump out ludicrous amounts of equipment, which means also at the same time with our much larger manpower base, we can recruit way more soldiers because it's the rise of the Byzantine Empire. Greek ascendancy has perplexed many military experts across the globe, but the results speak for themselves. In but a few years, the Greeks have utterly dominated the Balkans, reconquered Istanbul, and crushed any organized Turkish resistance in Anatolia. It seems that the ultimate conclusion of over 5 centuries of Greco-Turkish conflict has now been reached. To further bolster national pride, the Greek government has utilized historic continuity and stylized their military achievements as a Byzantine reconquest against the Turkic invader. As part of this propaganda, and in the midst of extravagant ceremonial parade in newly renamed Constantinople, it was announced that the National Union of Greece has changed its official name to the Byzantine Empire. Let the conquest or reconquest begin. Now, once it is that we have an intelligence agency, we are going to go and upgrade it a little bit. We're probably going to go over here and you're going to want to get the elusive gentleman to get an extra agent slot. And the reason we want to do this is because A, we want to build a spy network over here in Romania to reduce their entrenchment. And at the same time, we want to lower the cost that it would take in order to be able to invite Bulgaria into our faction. To help with this though, we're going to need some more divisions. Challenges Poland to declare war on Poland. Oh, hey, Poland is going through a civil war. That's something. All right, well, we're going to try our best here then. With the die is cast, we get another research slot, which is actually great for us because, oh dear God, I'd be falling behind otherwise here. And more importantly, we can begin to establish Byzantine themata. The world has changed considerably since the fall of Constantinople, and conquest has turned into quite a complicated venture. We cannot expect the newly reconquered people of the empire to serve us simply because we wish it. We must allow a certain level of self-rule and cooperate with the local administrations of these conquered regions. To secure the empire again, this is but a small price to pay. Yep, we are going to get that, and now we are finally able to go and create a faction with Bulgaria, which we will name New Rome Hudis. Because of course. I wanted to simultaneously invoke Yugoslavia, but I can't do that because they are already part of a faction with the new Czech Entente. So we can't really do much about that. What I can do is immediately call the Bulgarians into war. And the reason I am doing that is because I want them to actually initially lose here, at least a little bit. You may be wondering why. Why would I sacrifice the Bulgarians in this method? Well, the answer is because this river that you see over here absolutely sucks to try and get across, and we're not going to be able to do so easily. So I want the Bulgarians to die so that I may murder the Romanians. As soon as we have a single breakthrough across the river, that basically is it. Like, yeah, I'm sacrificing a lot of men in order to be able to get across here, but the Romanians can't hold past a certain point, and really, if you try to push past the river just as it is, since we have mountaineers, not marines, we're not really going to be able to do it, but from here, it's just more of a matter of mopping them up. And with that, my friends, we have the fall of Romania. There we go, all that is done, we have taken everything. And you may wonder, why do my borders look really weird like this? Like, why would I do that? Well, the entire answer is because in triumph for the Balkans, I have to have control of Romania's southern and coastal states. So we're taking all of that in order to be able to do anything. Now, I still technically want to keep Bulgaria in my faction while it is that we're working out our differences, so to speak. And so if we go and look and see what other kinds of things that we could potentially target, Yugoslavia really comes to mind because, well, I mean, I need to take over that territory anyway, but then also at the same time, there is Albania. Now, Albania is guaranteed by the Italian Republic, so that's one thing that we'd have to consider over on this side. So we could potentially bide our time and wait for just a little bit before enacting even more craziness. Whoa, oh, hold up. The Federation of Ethiopia declared war on the French Commune. For what? It's a democratic Ethiopia, and they're going to war with the French Commune, which... okay. And at the same time that happens, the German Reich goes and declares war on Czechoslovakia. Hold up. If they've done that, that means they're at war with France. Yugoslavia, hey buddy, I kind of want Macedonia back if you would. Oh my lord, the French Commune is actually reaching into Germany. Okay, all right. We're gonna need to kind of bide our time here a little bit. We need to hope that Yugoslavia is able to actually last. That's okay, yeah, they do. That's fine. We want them to last. Oh my lord, Germany is... they're managing to beat Czechoslovakia, yes, but Yugoslavia is reaching up into it, that is insane. I kind of need to position some forces down here in Syria so that I'm able to at least take that. We are going to want to go ahead and monitor this. And okay, Czechoslovakia capitulates, which means they will be able to redirect their forces over here towards France. And why is Czechoslovakia getting occupation of this? Australia severs ties with Britain, and it's the Paradox Interactive logo. I never even got that. The Mexican Socialist Republic declared war on the United Kingdom. Why is the world deciding... well, I turned off historical AI, of course, but this is a very chaotic April of 1939. All right, there's a justification for Macedonia, which means, yeah, we're going to go ahead and start conquering. All right, after cooperating with foreign monopolies, that means Academy of Athens, and we're proceeding at a fairly steady pace. All things considered. Let's say Rexist Belgium. Rexist Belgium. The Germans could not beat the French, so it took the Belgians to join in on the conflict. All right, well, you know, that's something. I've already lost 35,000 men, but I guess it doesn't really matter here at this point. All right, that means no French support. We can collapse through the system, and beautiful. There's Yugoslavia. That is gone. We have taken over the bulk majority of this. Beautiful. Any Soviet volunteers are absolutely crushed. And that is the entirety of the French army of Syria, surrounded and killed in the south. Okay, we are doing pretty solid here. The only thing left for me to really do is to try to take out Albania here, which I should be able to. France is about to fall fairly quickly, and that means that since they're guaranteed by Italy, and Italy can't do anything to me, we can go ahead and launch a war here, which will only last 10 days, so it's perfectly fine. There's that. Boom. Done. And yoink. There goes Albania. Italians, do you want a little bit of help? Yeah, the Italian Civil War was not going to end without us being able to get. Oh my God, I left the border open. How? How did this happen? The Hungarians. You traitorous assholes. How dare you try to take what I had rightfully stolen? Don't worry, Italians. I'll be there soon. Just hold on out there for a bit. Poland refuses German ultimatum. Yeah, I don't think that with Super Belgium that they're in any position to really resist, to be fair. All right. Now we can finally start to aid the Italians a little bit. Though also, hey, surprise, surprise, that aid is going to be rather limited. Oh, damn. Okay. I did not have the ability to take anything, not even a ship. Okay. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Okay, here's what we need to do. We need to get military access from the Germans as well as the Belgians, and then we need to go over here and finalize the destruction of the French. If we can do so, then that means that we will be able to likely, at the very least, steal the French fleet. Finland joins the Axis. Whoa, 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 whoa. If Finland joined the Axis and the Soviet Union is at war with Finland, that means the German Reich is about to attack the Soviets. Oh, that's something. All right, there we have it. French Commune finally capitulates. That's fantastic. Okay, now the reason this is then very important is because I need to A, seize the entirety of Yugoslavia, also seize the entirety of Albania, Croatia, Lebanon, Syria, and I think that's all I'm going to take here from the first round. After that, we need to kind of figure this out. I have enough score that I could actually go down here and I could go and, technically speaking, well, not up in the Netherlands, but where is the Dutch East Indies? I could actually take all of the rubber reserves that I could possibly desire. I then need to expand my influence, take as much of the African territory across here as I can, and with that, we're looking pretty good. We have actually a little bit of North African territory once again. Next up, my friends, Italy. Oh my lord, Portugal is actually winning down here in the Civil. That's insane. Oh, that's a fun time. Switzerland is actually fighting back against the Germans, which in turn is allowing the United Kingdom to go and enter the war. And the Soviet Union is even naval invading. What? Well, we have a core state here on the Italians, so that means a quick war goal here, 40 days, and then they are dead. Hello, Italy. Goodbye, Italy. We're just going to go ahead and take you out now. Fall of Berlin? Really? Dear God, Germany is kind of struggling here. Yeah, at the same time all this is happening, Japan is at war with the Soviet Union from this side, which means we're actually making some intense progress here. With the fall of Italy, that means we can demand all this including Somaliland. You're not getting anything, Ethiopia, and I can seize the entire Italian navy, thus boosting my naval prowess even more. Hellenic Italy, I just need to boost all production within you real quick so I can kind of absorb you, because I need to do that real fast. And I kind of want you to rebel against me. Like, I genuinely hope that you do. Oh my lord, how is the Soviet Union actually maintaining a solid front line here with an invasion? We're doing pretty good, all things considered. This could have gone horribly. Oh my god, Poland. Poland, which was at war with Germany, or I guess maybe they weren't, they just denied it. They went and attacked the Soviet freaking Union. Poland! You absolute mad lad, you. And oh my god, I just realized it doesn't even matter that the UK has fascism on the rise. They're also at war with the Soviet Union. So the UK is at war with the Germans, which is also at war with the Soviet Union. It's a three-way war over here. And Poland doesn't care. Poland's just killing the Soviets. Yeah, that's pretty much how the world is going to be. Could I play longer? Yeah, I technically speaking could from all this, but I really wanted to show just how incredibly broken all this was. And at this point, it's 2:38 in the morning. I'm getting ready to leave to go to Philadelphia in order to film the next episode of History Unhinged. Which, for those of you watching, if you haven't seen that history show that I do with Aiden Mattis of the Lore Lodge, you should definitely go and check that out. I am exhausted. I have to get up in 7 hours and drive for 9 hours, so I will go ahead and leave you all here today. Thank you, my friends, for watching this, and I hope I have shown you here how incredibly broken this is, and I want to see how this actually plays out in a historical game so that we can really get the timing right, because there is no way to guarantee that this works in the way that it does. I mean, it's going to work, but there's no way to guarantee that we get as lucky as we did with taking territory in a normal historical game. Anyway, my friends, I will see you all here next time. Goodbye. Have a good rest of your day.